Today I'm going to show you a gorgeous setup for a natural light portrait using nothing more than indirect window light and a V-flat. Hey everybody, Lindsay Adler here, and very often I'm working in the studio, but there's just something magical about natural light. I have shot hundreds of portraits using nothing more than a window. And I think what people don't realize is just how much you can shape and sculpt that natural light. So today, that's exactly what I want to show you. Now, typically what I do for a window light portrait is I face my subject straight onto that window so that it's just a big, broad, soft, flat light. However, today we're going to act as though that window light is giving us two light sources. What it's going to do is going to act like a rim light on the hair, and then it's going to bounce off a V-flat to give us the most beautiful, soft, creamy light on the skin. So let's start off with the ingredients of what you need. Item number one, of course, you need a window, but that window needs to be a soft light source. In other words, you don't want the sunlight streaming through. So either it's got to be a cloudy day or it's got to be a time of the day where the direct sunlight is not going to be hitting your subject. Item number two is you need a background of some sort. In this case, I am using a gravity backdrop. It's a hand-painted canvas background, which gives me this beautiful texture. It creates a more timeless look to the image. Now, the reason this background is so important is not just because it's going to be the backdrop behind her, but I'm also going to use it to control the light. So watch in this example as I actually vary the position of the background. As I move the background closer to her, I'm using it to block some of that window light and darken down the highlight in her hair. Now, originally when I tested out this shot, the window light was really bright on her hair and there wasn't much fill to her face. So by using that background to block some of the light, I'm actually controlling how much light is hitting her. Item number three is a V-flat, or just some sort of white surface. You could use a white bed sheet, a white piece of foam core, you could use a white piece of cardboard, but just something to bounce the light. Now watch here as I introduce this white V-flat. Basically what it's doing is it's taking all the light from the window, it's hitting the V-flat, and then it bounces off and becomes a huge, broad, soft light source. So her skin is creamy, smooth, and gorgeous. Now analyzing the look here, what you have is you have a rim light on her hair from the window, but you have a nice dark background behind her, which gets separation and contrast, and then you have that beautiful soft light on her face. So it looks as though there's multiple lights in the scene. She doesn't blend in with the background. It's a complex natural light setup. During this portrait, I shot with the Canon EOS R5 and the RF 50mm 1.2. This is a fantastic portrait setup. It's a great combo because it's not every shot just close up. I can also get a little bit wider to include her beautiful dress and her pose. Now what I love about this camera is since it's a mirrorless camera and it has an electronic viewfinder, I'm getting something called exposure simulation. So I can actually see in my camera as I make changes to my aperture and my shutter speed and my ISO what the shot is going to look like. It helps me visualize. Let's talk about my camera settings. For this image, I'm shooting at 1/125th of a second, f1.8, and an ISO of 1250. Now, if you know me, that's a little bit unusual. Usually I'm at lower ISOs, but guess what? My EOS R5 has crazy clean files, even at higher ISOs. In fact, I took it out at night and I shot in almost no light at all, close to 20,000 ISO, and I was still happy with the results. So I recommend you test your camera and see how comfortable you are with pushing and shooting at higher ISOs. Now, because I'm shooting this portrait with indirect light, that cuts some of the light, and it's bounce light, which cuts some of the light, and it's later in the day, which cuts some of the light, I needed to shoot at a wider aperture and higher ISO, but if you look at the files, they're still clean and gorgeous. Now, as I was shooting this image, I was trying different angles. I was moving around because sometimes if I move more around so that she was straight on towards me, that window light would light the side of her face. Then if I moved around so that the window was more behind her, that window light was just a rim light, and it allowed me to sculpt and shape the light and create different results. And then of course, it was about creating beautiful expressions and beautiful shapes with the lines of her body. Shots are elegant, they even look painterly, and it took nothing more than a window light and something to bounce the light like a V-flat. Now, if you'd like to see the gear used in the making of this video, be sure to check out the links in the description below and visit adorama.com. And of course, if you've enjoyed this video and you want to see more of my portrait techniques, fashion techniques, and just, creative photographic techniques in general, be sure to subscribe. See you next time.